What would have happened if Popeye never received his spinach because of a paperwork error? Funny thought? Sure. But in real life, these mistakes aren't funny, and they're not covered by insurance. Every day, companies lose millions, not to pirates, not to storms, but to something much smaller, using the wrong three-letter Incoterm incorrectly. We move goods worth millions across the globe, but too often we don't fully understand the rules of the game. It is important to focus on understanding rather than just acquiring information. The industry is complex, and limited knowledge may lead to losses, some of which may not be immediately apparent. Get it wrong, and you're not just walking on thin ice, you're paying for the fallout. Incoterms look simple, but one small mistake can cause a very expensive disaster. Understand your Incoterms and their implications, or you could walk into a trap you never even imagined. Having knowledge of Incoterms lays a solid foundation, but comprehending their application for cost savings and profit maximization is critical. Effective implementation can also strengthen negotiation strategies. For instance, while free on board allows the buyer to arrange vessel booking independently, it may be advantageous to consider shipment on a cost and freight basis if the seller secures better freight rates due to higher volumes with particular shipping lines. In such cases, the seller would pay the shipping charges and overall costs would be calculated inclusive of these fees. This approach should be evaluated according to the specifics of each transaction, as no standard rules exist for this scenario. Case study: when words cost a fortune. In 1969, Minex Shipping versus International Trading Company. The contract said the cement was shipped FOB stowed Polish port. But the stowage space wasn't cleaned and the cement was contaminated. Clearly, the ship's crew should have ensured the space was clean for that specific cargo. But the buyer should also have given the correct instructions. Because of the confusion, things went terribly wrong. Under FOB, the seller's risk ends when the cargo is on board. Nothing more. But someone added stowed, and that changed everything. The court said no. FOB stowed meant the seller had to make sure the stowage space was properly cleaned before the risk transferred. Something went wrong on board before stowage, and because of that simple error, the seller had to foot the bill. Once the goods were on board, the risk didn't immediately shift to the buyer. The lesson? There's no official FOB stowed. If you make up your own version of Incoterms, don't expect a judge to back you up. When an Incoterm specifies insurance, it applies only to the portion of the journey covered by that term. For example, under CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, the seller is required to provide insurance only for the period during which the cargo is on board the vessel. Any transport before or after that stage remains the responsibility of either the seller or the buyer to insure, depending on the agreed Incoterm. As a best practice, it is advisable to arrange insurance coverage for 110% on the total value. This provides an additional safeguard against unforeseen expenses that may arise if the cargo is damaged or lost during transit. Why you're here. International trade is complex, but Incoterms are the foundation. They answer two critical questions. 1. When does the risk transfer? Who takes responsibility if the cargo is damaged or lost? 2. When do the costs transfer? Who pays for which part of the journey? This isn't theory. It's about protecting your company's money and protecting your reputation. A little history. Before 1936, trade terms were a mess. Total chaos. No wonder Popeye was always fighting for his spinach. That year, the International Chamber of Commerce created Incoterms. They've been updated regularly ever since to keep up with changes in transport and trade practices. The latest version? Incoterms 2020. Always use the latest. Using an old version is an open invitation to legal trouble. Contracts. Remember, Incoterms are not the full sales contract. You must include the correct Incoterms 2020 wording in your contract. We provide suggested descriptions for each Incoterm, but it's your responsibility to make sure it applies to your specific transaction. We cannot be held liable for misinterpretation. Categories. Incoterms fall into two main categories: sea freight terms, covering all transport by water, including sea and river carriers; multimodal terms, applying to all other types of transport, but they may also include sea freight depending on the situation. To keep things simple, we'll start with sea freight. It's usually the easiest to grasp. What this course offers you. This course will give you the power to use Incoterms correctly. You'll learn how to avoid costly errors, how to choose the right term for every deal, and how to negotiate with confidence. At the end, you'll receive a certificate of completion, provided certain criteria are met. This is not an accredited certificate, but it's not just a piece of paper. It's proof you understand the rules of the game, and that's a powerful tool for your career. So, let's get started and make sure you become true experts in this field. Thank you for your attention. We are confident that enrolling in this course will provide substantial value to both you and your organization. The content is designed to be clear, practical, and easy to apply, ensuring maximum benefit. We encourage you to share this opportunity with your management team, as the insights gained could lead to significant cost savings and efficiencies that far outweigh the course fee.